Céad Míle Fáilte wrote, go dtí Sheehan Storytelling Cottage. 100,000 welcomes to you, Cora Peters, to Sheehan Storytelling Cottage. Isn't it?
Maria.
Oh, tá fáilte road, welcome. So, isn't this cottage very evocative, isn't it?
Oh, it's amazing. The minute I walked in the door, I could kind of feel the ghosts in the walls. You can kind of get a sense of your ancestors telling the stories and the poetry and singing the songs, can't you really?
You really can.
Mad, yeah.
And I often come here and light the fire and just let the story seep out of the wall, you know.
That's it, yeah.
And I was very taken when you came to the Skilligins Day session in Cork,
Right.
with how you weave and the beautiful story that you wove for us. And I think it is like a similar atmosphere to the atmosphere in this cottage.
Little, yeah, it is, isn't it? Yeah.
It is,
Although
definitely.
There's nothing like this place, really.
Yeah.
It's
So one of the beautiful things that was said about the pub that you wove out of thin air on the misty seas of Cork, you know, was that it was like weaving a memory road to yesteryear.
Yes.
You know, and I feel that about this cottage because it's been a storytelling cottage for 300 years, or a session cottage, because we had the music and the poetry also in this place. Isn't that amazing?
Amazing, it really is.
You know. And of course, you know, Eamon Kelly would have held the keys of this house at one time. And the Sheehans who had lived in this house, you can feel all of their lovely music and stories here. You know, And so you've written a lovely new book. Can you show us your book?
I can indeed.
Oh, that's
There's
a beautiful
my new
picture.
Book. It's called yes, the Limerick artist Maria O'Reilly did that. She did a portrait of me last year.
She did a great job. Wow.
So my publisher suggested using Myra's portrait for the cover. So I thought, okay, right.
Yeah, brilliant. And you know the story that I was referring to there, is that actually in this book? The one about the pub?
Oh, the White House Bar, it is.
Yeah.
It's in this book. This book is a collection now of stories, poems and memories of growing up in Limerick in the 1960s and the 1970s.
Oh.
So that's what it is, really. So that story that you speak of.
So could I request that story for you to start
indeed.
with?
You
Brilliant.
can indeed.
Yeah.
My granddad Ned was a huge part of my childhood growing up, and every afternoon then before our daily jaunt, he'd sit down in the hallway and polish his shoes buff them up with a horsehair brush, and then he'd button up my coat and shout in from the hallway, "I'll take the little wild one for a walk now and give you a break." But as soon as we were out the door, then we'd make a beeline up O'Connell Street, past the Augustinian Church, and to the White House Bar in the corner, one of the oldest bars in Limerick and Grandad's local. So I burst in the door then, all guns blazing, and start kicking frantically at the freshly laid sawdust, scattering it everywhere. And Eamon Gleeson, now the proprietor, was a tall, solemn-looking man, and he was always behind the counter polishing glasses on his apron. He'd throw a curmudgeonly eye in my direction then. And as soon as Grandad could catch a hold of me, then he'd plant me up on the counter, sit me up on the counter into the corner, and bring his bar stool in then to kind of corral me, you know. And you were limited in how far you could move the bar seats, because Eamon Gleeson, he had them all joined together with a length of wire for some reason, I don't know why. But Grandad would put me up there. Then Aisha, Eamon's sister, a small, rosy-cheeked, like fluffy-haired lady, she would always fill Grandad's pint and put it up on the dark wooden counter to settle. And I'd watch mesmerised then while it surged and settled. And when it was ready, then I'd get the first sup of the creamy Guinness head. I loved that.
Oh, yum.
And then all the other old boys would drift in gradually, and pints of plain all round, and whiskey chasers, and a few bob for the little one to buy an ice cream. And you had silver sixpences and twopenny bits and chicken pennies pressed into my hand, like I cleaned up like. So I just loved the pub. I love the smell of the porter now, and the smell of the turf fire burning in the fireplace in the corner. And I loved when the old men then would light up and puff their pipes, and you get that sweet aroma of golden Virginia tobacco and condor plug. It was beautiful, you know. So, and from my vantage point then on the counter, I could look around and take it all in. and mounted high on the walls were 3 big wooden whiskey casks. And sometimes men would come in then with their own bottles, like those, those cobalt blue milk of magnesia bottles, and they'd have them filled with whiskey from the wood, and they'd go way down with them in their inside pocket. And then in the corner there was a big Belfast sink, and Eamon Gleeson would have his long john soaking in soapy water inside in that. I know, and then overhead that was a picture of the Sacred Heart with the red lamp burning underneath it. And then high on a shelf there was 2 black and white whiskey dogs, ceramic West Highland terriers with diamond eyes. They were sitting side by side. And alongside them then there was a big white chainy jug with beautiful pink roses on it, and a mother of pearl rosary beads just kind of draped like a cowl over the handle of it. And the rest of the shelf then was stacked high with books. Eamon Gleeson kept a small library, so where his customers could choose and peruse a book whilst enjoying a drink. So then on the top shelf there was bottles of every type, every shape, every colour, amber, emerald, azure. And I'd say, "What does that bottle say, Granda?" And he'd spell out the words like brandy, and sound them out for me. And soon I kind of got the hang of it, like I could spell the labels on it, and every bottle along the wall I could spell all the and then I could read the posters as well on the walls that adorned the walls, and they were usually advertising theatrical events or operatic productions, or usually they were staged then in the City Theatre or the Savoy. So that's it. And sometimes the visiting performers then would drop in for a libation and give an impromptu dress rehearsal. And one such day then, these 2 men, one tall, blonde, handsome looking guy with a paisley cravat and a cream coat, cream jacket with a gold pocket watch. And the other was a small, stocky little man with a big, broad, smiling face and a handlebar moustache. And he was dressed in a dicky bow and a tailcoat. And they just stood over by the fireplace and started to sing this beautiful aria called the Pearl Fishers Duet. Wow. And it was like everybody in the bar had been turned to pillars of stone. They just stopped and listened. And it was possibly the most magnificent thing I have ever heard. And all the men along the bar then had a party piece. So all the other thespians would recite poetry or give a show tune, and there was one small little raw-boned man that always wore a flat cap, Alfie. He always sat at the end of the bar, and he'd give this kind of maudlin, out-of-tune version of "I'll take you home again, Kathleen." It's the same thing every time, but he still got the same applause and the same respect as all the gentlemen and the scholars. Nobody here shook hands with snobbery, and it was just, I learned from a very early age then to treat everybody from every walk of life with equal respect, and I also saw heartfelt kindness then. They said Alfie was a martyr for the drink, and I'd see Granda taking out a crisp pound note out of his pocket, and he'd fold it over and fold it back until it was a tiny little square. And when Alfie wasn't looking then, Granda would go over to the coat stand behind the door and stick it right into the bottom of Alfie's inside pocket of his. He had a thick serge overcoat, and he always stuck it in there. And I remember asking, "What's that for, Granda?" And he said, "Alfie's a house full of children," he said, and he drank the wages again. So at least this way his wife can buy milk and bread for her children. It's tiny, she'll never find it. And then in this kind of solemn voice that I'd never heard him using before, he just said, "She'll find it," and she'll find it. So I just thought, okay, I didn't get it like. And then the church bells would ring out, and Ida would hand down the Angelus, and all the men along the bar, their hands joined loosely, would drop their chins into their chests and mutter their response into their chests. And this was our cue then to leave, to go home. So Granda would lift me down then, and I'd hold in his hand, then I'd, possibly a little drunk, I think, I'd skip down the road beside him, then pockets of my coat weighed down like in jingling with coins, and I just think this early education I received in the White House gave me a lifelong love of literature and the arts. It taught me kindness and empathy, and I learned how to read, and I learned how to curse, which did not go down well with the presentation nuns when I started school, but that's a story for another day. Thank you for listening.
Oh my God, what a beautiful, your phrasing and the golden edges around your memories are amazing. And as you were talking, I could really see that pub and the old men and how kind they were to one another.
They really were. They all looked out for each other. It was a lovely thing, you know.
Yeah, and how the kindness was passed on in beautiful little ways, like making sure the child got a few jingling pennies.
Oh, yeah.
And making sure there was a crisp note for the woman who needed it.
That's right, yeah.
Oh, beautiful. Beautifully put together, and thank you for sharing your memory. I love it.
Thank you very much, Maria, and thank you for inviting me down here.
Oh, you're welcome.
To the beautiful kingdom of Kerry.
Oh, and you know,
share my stories.
Of course, I won't let you away with just giving us one story.
Okay.
But in your book, you said there might be some poetry as well.
Yeah, I have a few poems.
So
in there as
maybe you could choose a poem and share that with us.
Well,
yeah,
I will indeed. I will choose. What will I choose now? I think I'll read one from my old friend, the Dublin poet and white witch, Terry Murray.
Yeah.
And this is in her memory. From my friend Terry Murray. In the shadows of the whiskey wood, we virgins gathered. We spoke of friendship and how ours would endure, and we settled in the scorching dust. There, amongst the ghosts and photographs, we spoke softly of siren songs and dark and troubled souls, and the power of witchcraft and lust. We raised our glasses to the ancient oracles who veered your trail, and we drank and danced and laughed. Now, safer, stronger, bolder, your life became poems, and the people gathered to hear your words, beloved Terry, a gentle refugee from over trouble's border. Now, your February face, lean as an El Greco painting, speaks sadly of only yesterdays and one sorrowful tomorrow. We smoke a cigarette. Then I swaddle your tiny frame in bed and kiss your forehead, tenderly as I would a child. My soul collapsed with sorrow. But today I see you, lit by a sheaf of sunflowers, and hear your voice. And I remember your smile from when your cheeks were full and fat. And I remember the madness and the laughter and the rare old times. And I remember you singing and dancing in a flowery hat.
Oh, no. What a beautiful tribute. Really lovely, you know.
Thank you.
So you can hear your heart in that. Your heart for your friend.
She was a great old friend, yeah.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
Nice to remember, isn't it?
Yeah, very important, you know. And it's funny how the words tell you one thing, but in between the words, with your phrasing and your pace, we can hear the other things. The connection and the heartbeat, beautifully recited, if I may say. Yeah, thank you so much, you know. And finally, the name of the book. Can you show us the book again?
Oh, yes.
Yeah. So the name of the book is?
The Beauty in the Broken.
The Beauty in the Broken. I'm fascinated by the name. Is there a poem?
Yeah, I called it after the title poem, and the poem, The Beauty in the Broken, I wrote for my surgeon. And it comes from the ancient Japanese art of kintsugi, which is the repairing of broken pottery. You see, if something breaks, they don't discard it. They will repair it, and then they'll gild all the cracks, either with silver or gold, and highlight them. And they say they highlight the beauty in the broken because they see this, now that it's the cracks, that it's more beautiful and stronger in the broken places. So I thought there was a lovely metaphor for life, because I think we've all been scarred or broken in some way along the way. And people look at their scars as being ugly. I think you should really change how you think, because, you know, look at them as a symbol of your strength and your resilience, and wear your scars with pride and look at how far, congratulate yourself really, and look how far you've come, you know. So that's what I think. So I'll read this poem, and I'm a bit shy about reading it really now, to be honest, but I will dedicate it to all the survivors out there and embrace a new aesthetic. Don't look at your scars and ugly. Look as ugly, just look at them as, there's such a beauty in strength and resilience.
That's an important message.
I really think so, let's look at it a different way.
Great.
So I will give you that poem, so Maria, since you asked for it.
Thank you.
So, The Beauty in the Broken, for Miss Louise Kelly. When my little friend Sakura's china doll smashed against the pavement on her skull, her mother gathered up the broken pieces. In Japan, the ancient art of kintsugi honours imperfection, and sitting side by side in silk kimonos, they delicately pieced her back together. The mother mixed a mucilage of powdered gold and sapphire-ishy lacquer, then highlighted the beauty in the broken by gilding with celestial gold each arbitrary crack. When the surgeon took my breast, she soothed my fragility with kindness and precision, and as the balm of Gilead, she healed me. Now, like surgical kintsugi, my looking glass reflects Louise's beauty in my broken, where she stitched a seam as silver as the moon across my chest.
That was absolutely beautiful. It was like the strength of a spider's web, so resilient and flexible, and I just loved that. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Maria. And thanks again, as I said, for asking me, and thank you everybody for listening.
Yeah, and of course this will go up now into the Sheehan Storytelling Store of Stories and Poetry.
Oh, will it now? Okay.
Yeah, so tis lovely that your voice will be heard, and hopefully for a long time, adding to the 300-year-old tradition.
Lovely.
Gora míle maith agat.
This, by the way, I'm donating all the profits from this book to Milford Hospice, so I won't be taking anything for myself. And it's available in a lot of the bookshops, but also on www.limerickWritersCentre.com if anybody wants to support the cause or buy the book or whatever. Yeah,
and just because sometimes when it's online, people say we talk a little bit too fast because they're writing it down with their pen.
Right.
I'm going to say, have your pen ready now. And very slowly, she's going to give us that website again.
Okay, that's www.limerickWritersCentre.com.
Lovely.
Thank you.
And of course, just before we finish, where did I meet you?
You met me in the Hunt Museum.
That's right.
When you gave this wonderful storytelling workshop, and it's your fault I'm here. I know you inspired me so much. It was fantastic what I learned from you. It was you telling your stories and the whole lot, and encouraging me then, you liked my stories and meant so much to me.
Thank you very much.
It really meant so much to me.
I love the community on St. John's Island, and I love the community in the Hunt Museum in Limerick.
Oh, they're fabulous.
Fantastic. And if somebody wanted to come along to the little rambling houses that you have, the monthly session, where would they go and how would they get in contact with that session?
I'll tell you now, for the storytelling sessions, they're in Treaty City Brewery on Nicholas Street in Limerick, and they're on the second Tuesday of every month. And then there's the White House. There's the first Wednesday series run by Dora Cipher and Lauren McNamara, and that's downstairs in the White House in the Whiskey Bar on the first Wednesday of every month. And that's beautiful, so welcoming. Both of them are very, very welcoming. And the White House brings a guest poet first, and then for the second part there's an open mic. And it's very inclusive and welcoming. Very welcoming. It's lovely.
It's great.
So don't be shy.
Absolutely. So I can corroborate that you get a very warm welcome, and there's loads of smiling faces.
There are.
And just like in your story, everybody's story is valued and loved with equal precision, and I love that.
It's lovely. It's really, everybody is treated with equal respect.
Brilliant. So if you want to meet myself or this lovely Limerick woman on the Limerick Road, you know now where to go on the third Thursday and first? Sorry, you better say it again.
Second, for the storytelling in the Treaty City Brewery in Nicholas Street, it's the second Tuesday of the month.
Second Tuesday.
And For the poetry, then it's called the First Wednesday series. So that's the first Wednesday.
First
of the month,
Wednesday
funnily
series,
enough.
yeah.
And in the White House Bar.
Brilliant.
Back to the White House Bar again.
That's it. Lovely job. Thanks very much.
Thank you so much, Maria. Thank you, everybody.
And that's Cora Peters from Limerick.
Thank you.